Welcome, everyone, to episode 72 of Dial the Gate. My name is David Reed. Elyse Levesque, Chloe Armstrong from Stargate Universe will be joining us momentarily. So I am so grateful to have her on, and so grateful to all of you for joining us for this episode. Before we get started, if you like Stargate and you want to see more content like this on YouTube, it would mean a great deal if you click the like button. It really makes a difference with YouTube's algorithm and will definitely help the show build its audience. Please also consider sharing this video with a Stargate friend. And if you want to get notified about future episodes, click the subscribe icon. Giving the bell icon a click will notify you the moment a new video drops, and you'll get my notifications of any last-minute guest changes. This is key if you plan on watching live. And clips from this live stream will be released over the course of the next several days on the gateworld.net YouTube channel. It is my privilege to welcome SGU alum Elyse Levesque, Chloe Armstrong. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing?
I
Congrats, episode 72?
72, yeah, we started in October. Thank you.
You started this last October?
Yeah, we did 4 shows or 3 shows a weekend for like a while there. I really wanted to get the momentum going, and
Maximum on the pandemic.
Not bad for an ended TV franchise of 10 years, you know?
Not bad.
The Stargate fans don't go away. They keep on spawning like rabbits.
Thank God.
Now, with SG1 being on Netflix and everything else, Brad Wright working on SG4, I'm excited, Elyse. I really am.
More than I do. I didn't know Brad was working on SG4.
Yeah, he's negotiating with MGM on getting it off the ground, so hopefully we'll see something.
That's cool. That's great.
We have to know what happened to Destiny. We can't keep you guys all popsicles forever.
I know. I'm so curious about what everyone's theories are as to where that's going to go.
I'm interested. Let's hit it off right. Where do you think Destiny was going? I know David knows. The actual answer, and he's sworn to secrecy.
They told him, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
I can't even fully remember anything.
So there was the cosmic background radiation. There was a message hidden in the radiation that makes up the universe, and that's really all that we knew when we were moving forward through. Destiny was moving through space, and we didn't know if it was collecting information as it moved, or if they were ultimately going towards a final destination. But
right,
man, the premise was so exciting.
I mean, all I remember is that I feel like we all were put to sleep, right, in those chambers, and that I feel like 10 or more years were going to go by or something like that.
Yeah, it was 3 years that you were going to skip over to the next galaxy.
And then we come out and Eli's just like a caveman with a long beard.
He's actually super fit. He finally joined the jogging team.
Yeah, it's so true. He just, all that time he spent working out. I really have no theories, which is why I'm like, I want to hear what other people think where it would have gone. Because I have no idea. What do you think?
I had a few different. I'm not entirely. I don't think it was God. I don't think it was like we were going to find out that Rush had created all creation or something like that. I'm not. I think given Stargate, I think whatever it was would not have been disappointing. I think we would have found out something greater about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's the mission of the Destiny, ultimately. Yeah. There's something really profound in the title of the ship itself.
Absolutely. And I've got her sitting right here behind me back there. So that is a fan-made model.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No, that's so cool. I also see, isn't that one of the suits from...
Yes. So over here, that was Brian's. So
that was Brian's. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm very lucky.
You are.
Elyse, I want to, with this show, make a lasting legacy of a resource, because YouTube's certainly not going anywhere, for people who have yet to discover the franchise and who view it again in the future, to come back to these archive videos and learn more about the people who were involved in the making of this massive thing. And that's why it's so important for me to have you on and your colleagues. Tell us a little bit about your formative years? Who were you as a young person, and what were your dreams and goals? How did that lead to Chloe?
To me, yeah. Well, I grew up in a small city in Canada called Regina. That's how it's pronounced. Saskatchewan. And I'm an only child, so I think that
Me too.
You are as well.
I was tried not to be selfish, but you know.
I was so lonely as a kid. I think that actually being an only child, like, it definitely had a profound effect on who I am. I think because I was alone so much, it really fostered my imagination and my creativity.
Right.
So I became very good at occupying myself and finding ways to keep myself entertained.
Especially in a small town when there's not, a lot of people who share your thoughts and ideas per se. There's only just the people that you happen to be around.
Yeah, and I was always a bit different. Like I dressed differently, and I mean, at least I don't know if I was different or if that I just wasn't the right brand of whatever the kids were into those days. But I was like very much, bullied a lot and kind of always felt like an outsider. So it's interesting that I went into this industry because I feel like it's a place where a lot of people go and they feel like they don't fit in anywhere.
Did you find it to be an outlet where you could express yourself? Is that really what drew you into it? Or was it like, all the odd people are over here and they're more interesting than anyone else is, so I want to hang with them?
Definitely a big part of it. I mean, I remember I started acting when I was 11. I was on a children's television series that filmed in my hometown.
Wow. Well, that's great.
Yeah, it was such a great introduction to this industry because for one, it was all kids in the cast, so it was very kid friendly, and we filmed during the summer so that it didn't really interrupt school, and so it kind of felt like this weird little summer camp. And every episode was a couple short stories based on a couple short stories that kids had written that then screenwriters took and made into little short films. So we would get to play all of these really crazy, like I played the moon in an episode. I played an alien in another one. I played Juliet trapped in some alternate universe in another episode. So it was this really fun, like playful way and light kind of introduction into acting and into the business because they taught us everything. We did like a 2-week workshop before we started filming where they're like, this is how it's going to be on set. This is where your mark will, this is like how we light stuff. This is, we say roll sound, da 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 da. So I didn't have to like learn on the fly. On some new set. But I remember I think for one, it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about responsibility at a young age. And it was, even though it was a children's show, ultimately you were working in an adult environment. And I just remember meeting people from all different walks of life and feeling this really beautiful connection with everyone. Like there's this intense bonding that happens often on film sets. Similar to theater too, I think.
You're in the trenches.
You're in the trenches together. Pretty much everybody wants to be there, which is rare, I think, for most jobs. People are thrilled to go and do what they do because a lot of people, get into this business for their love of film or their love of design or acting, and yeah, so I just met all of these amazing people and formed these really great relationships, some of which I still have to this day. And I forget what the question was.
Yeah, no, you answered it. Who are the people who have helped to shape you into the person you are now? Who were your personal and professional heroes?
I mean, there's certainly a lot of people who have influenced me in my personal life. I'm reticent to call anyone a hero because I think that puts them on too high of a pedestal.
Okay, that's fair.
But like certainly, like my mom's a very artistic person, and she's an amazing visual artist and very creative and curious about a lot of things. And she sort of fostered my love of like, BBC miniseries dramas and also like Guillermo del Toro horror movies. Like she's kind of a really like quirky lady, and so I think she's had a lot of influence on me. And my dad is like the much more pragmatic mathematician, like anything. So I'd like to think that I got the best of both worlds from both of them. But they've been huge influences and incredibly supportive with everything that I've done in my life. And then, you know, over the years, there were always people who came in. Like, you know, I had a grade 6 teacher who, honestly, I don't know if I would have gotten on the path of acting if it hadn't been for her. She, I guess, saw that you know, she recognized some ability in me to do that sort of thing, and was the one who told me about this audition for this children's TV series. And she was like, I really think you should go. I think you should go audition for this. So who knows, had I not taken her advice, maybe I would have found my way into the industry at some point. But it wasn't like it was a goal for me. Like I wasn't like, oh, I want to be an actor when I grow up in the way that you hear some other people felt. For me, I was like, I want to be a marine biologist. I want to be a vet.
Did you have a chance to thank this teacher?
I never did. No. And I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that there would be a way to get in touch with her at this point, but I definitely at some point should say to her, like, she, I think, set me on the path of where I currently find myself. So Miss Krause. Thanks, Miss Krause.
Miss Krause. Tell us about a role which stretched you, and possibly in ways that you didn't expect or were more challenging than first appeared on the surface.
I mean, there's been a few for sure, but one of the more recent ones for me was I did an arc on the final season of Orphan Black. I played like smarmy, kind of dirty detective. I'm not really entirely sure. She was Mia Lucian, which was this like kind of underground bad guys in the show.
Okay.
And that was kind of the first time, like, a lot over the years I've played a lot of like nice people. Like prior to this, I think I'd played like one character that was kind of like bad, but this was the first time where I was this really kind of dirty, no makeup, like very masculine character. And nobody had given me that opportunity. It was actually a role that was originally written for a man, and then they cast me in it. And because the writers of that show are so amazing, they were like, we're not going to change anything about the character. We're not going to change the name. We're not going to change the misogynist things that she says. We're just going to leave all of that as is. And so it was a blast to play, and also like so outside of my comfort zone as an actor. And then on top of that, I was a fan of the show. So then I was just like, don't F this up. Like,
yeah.
Don't, you know, and Kat Mislani is one of my really good friends. She was the lead of it, and I didn't want to, like, you know, come onto her show and shit the bed. You know, I was like,
it's a real fear, you know? I mean, yeah.
So that one stands out for me as something that was challenging and also just really rewarding, and cool to be there for the end of that franchise, that series.
I have yet to see it, but I've heard very good things. It's on my list.
You'll love it.
Absolutely.
She's unbelievable, but she does.
All right.
Yeah.
Tell us about auditioning for Chloe.
So it's so funny sometimes, like the opportunities that you get. I didn't think anything of it. Like, I remember I got an email. My friend and I, who was my roommate at the time, had gone to get massages at this place in Vancouver. And I got out and it was like, oh, you have an audition tomorrow morning. And I was like, oh, I just want to relax. I want to go home and learn lines. I just want to relax. I'm feeling very zen. And it was like, so anyways, I was like, what is this? Stargate? Okay, Chloe, okay. So I went home and I, you know, did a bit of work on it. I didn't obsess over it in the way that I normally do. Like, I can get really uptight about auditions. But the words came really easy. I learned them super fast. And then the next morning, my friend took me to this audition. I went in, and it was one of those things that happens very rare for me anyway, where I dropped into something like halfway through the audition, and I just like stopped acting. Like, it just felt very real. Everything I was saying felt like my words. It's such a treat when that happens.
You find flow.
Yeah, you get in that like pocket, that sweet little pocket, and for some reason that happened, and I fooled them, and they hired me.
There was no fooling.
No, but I did end up. It was one of those rare things where I was like, that went really well, huh? Okay. Didn't think much about it, and then like about a month later, I was in New York and I got an email saying, yeah, they might want to test you for this role. You might have to fly to LA. And then I think it was like a week later, I was on a plane. I went, and the night before I did the test, I had they do kind of this like work session with the casting director, and he'll be like, okay, so they really want to see this from you. They want to see this. They want to see this. And he was adamant that they needed to see my emotional range. That basically, so like without saying it, he was like, you need to cry. Like we're gonna need to see some tears. I was like, okay. And I was going through a breakup or having my heart broken at the time. So I was like, tears, here, they're going to come streaming, just wait. So I get to the Universal lot and I'm sitting in the thing, and I can remember David Blue, and I can remember Rui Ferreira, and I can remember Alaina because Alaina read for Chloe as well. And I was there for like 3-4 hours before I went in. So by the time I had to go in, I was not connected to any emotion. Like I had been working myself up so much that by the time they were like, and Elyse, I was like, oh no, I don't feel anything. So I went in, I did the audition, and I was hoping to God that they were going to be like, yeah, let's do that again. But they were like, okay, great. Yeah, thank you. I left. I had to wait. They make you wait after you test. And then I saw the girls go in and come out after me, and they had mascara like running down their face. And I was like, I lost it. There's no way I'm getting this. And they came out after and were like, okay, you can all go home. And then I think it was over a month later, I found out I got the part.
Wow.
It was like a 3-month affair. Yeah.
Jeez. And you thought it was dead and gone.
I did. And
just goes to show.
At one point I had heard that they had cast somebody else. And I think there was a question. I think that they had considered casting someone else. And then ultimately Brad and Robert were like, no, we feel like she's our girl. So
it's interesting. The first time that you had the material, you connected with her in a way that, you know, after a few moments was not hard for you. What made you fall in love with Chloe?
I mean, her flawedness for sure. Like, and her fish out of water. Like, fit in anywhere. Like, didn't know what her place was in this thing, and you know, and the feeling of immediate loss that she felt. Like it's not at all the same thing, but where I was at that point in my life was, as I said, like I was experiencing like probably the worst heartbreak that I had felt at that point in my life, and it felt like a loss. So I was able to channel all of that in the character, especially in Air, in those first couple episodes when she loses her father.
Absolutely. Terrific guest performance there as well. I really felt over the course of, especially near the end of that second season there, that if the show were to have continued, I really think that Chloe would have had one of the more broad transformations, because we don't know what happened to her when she was sent over there. And when they bring her back, I don't think they were done with her.
I don't think so either. I think they were just getting started.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that if by the end of that show, I really think that she would have been a shadow of whatever she was at the very beginning. You know, did you get that feeling as well? Or did they say that was what their intention was?
He never told me. They didn't really tell us a lot. Like, we were kind of every episode was a surprise, which reminds me of a horrible little story that I have. But don't let me forget.
Okay.
but they didn't really tell me much about any of that. I think they did at the beginning of the second season say you are going to kind of align yourself more with Rush and start to, you know, be an asset to him, because this intelligence that they've imbued you with is going to start to show up, and that's going to be, you know, advantageous for Rush. So you two are going to start working together. So you're going to have more stuff with him, which I was so thrilled about because I just think he's an amazing actor.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, so good. And just like the loveliest human. He plays like horrible people, but he's the loveliest guy. So yeah, I feel like it would have been and really interesting to actually see Chloe switch to some other side and become kind of an enemy, if you will, like to slowly but surely turn on everyone on the Destiny. And I think that would have been fascinating for her relationship with Scott
Mm-hmm.
and Eli. Yeah.
But having not be in complete and utter control of her own abilities
Mm-hmm.
as well. I mean, the math angle was really interesting. It wasn't something that I expected. It's like, wow, I mean, if you're going to transform a character and send someone on like an undercover or a double agent kind of journey, if you will, Chloe would be the one to do it with.
Yeah.
And, she was one of the ones that I was really looking forward to seeing evolve. I know that. Yes, of course. You were talking about a nasty situation that you were in.
So this is what I'm talking about. They were so naughty, Brad and Robert. So we all had this deal in the first season, I think, because it was like a straight to series situation. Often you shoot a pilot and then sometimes people get fired after the pilot and then they last and blah, blah, blah. And so I think we all had in our contracts like a 6-episode option where they could keep us for the first 6 episodes. And then after that, they could, if things weren't working out,
space you.
Yeah. So episode 6, I think, is Time. Do you remember that episode?
I love it.
They gave that, so they sent that script to all of us, right? And we all die.
Yep, pretty much everybody dies.
We're all thinking like, oh my God, they're terminating us. And like they did it purposefully so that we would all be like freaking out. And then like, haha, joke's on you, we're bringing everybody back. And then if you were dead, you're all staying on. Like, so sneaky, those guys.
But it leads to great stories, I mean,
does.
it's when that squid comes out the other side of you and then Chloe version 2.0 goes to the corner and throws up. It's like, yeah, I can't say I blame her. That was visceral.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite episodes. That was a really fun one to shoot.
And it's great sci-fi. It's just great science fiction as well. I know by season 2, you had all rearranged your living situations so that you shared I think the same street, if I'm not mistaken.
A lot of us are on Melville.
Yeah.
In Cole Harbor. I lived there prior to getting started. So I was already there. They all came to me, to my street.
Hey, there you go. who among the cast were you closest to? Did you find yourself drawn to the most?
I mean, we were all pretty close in general. Like we were very much a family. We would hang out on the weekends, and I remember season 1, like myself, Jamil, Jeffrey Boyer Chapman,
yes,
David, Julia Benson, who else, and like some partners and friends and stuff like that. Oh, Bradley Stryker, Brian. We all went and rented a cabin in Whistler and went and just had this like debaucherous week. in a cabin in Whistler. It was so fun. I think I've got videos of us all singing Rent, like 1,600 minutes, and it's just like the video that just pans around the table, and everyone is just so happy. We just had such a good time together. It was a really special group of people.
Absolutely. One of my favorites is Cloverdale, the dream world where she marries Scott.
He's the like turns and she's got half the
exactly. She's either becoming a weapon or like some kind of a surveillance tool or something. That episode it was another just great sci-fi idea where you can take a dream world and make it a part of the main story while they're lying on the ramp of the gate dying, and she's trying to save his life, and it's just the performances across the board with all the cast were stellar. That the quality of product that you guys put out over just those 2 seasons was fantastic.
I agree. Yeah, it's a well-made show.
Which episodes besides Time stand out to you?
I mean, still for me, like the one that is the most present in my memory is Air, part 1 and part 2, because we took our time filming it. So I can remember shooting every scene. I can remember just the days of all of us in the gate room, just dying laughing, Louis just like cracking jokes, and it was just all so new. So I think like when things are new, you're paying closer attention to everything.
You're taking more in.
You're
Yeah.
taking more in, and it was just really like that was kind of the thing that sort of set the tone for the next 2 years, and it was such a fantastic experience shooting those first 2 episodes. Those two really stand out. There's an episode, and I cannot remember the name of it, but it was one of my favorite things to film. It's in the first season, and it was when I'm having the dream, and it's like I'm walking through the ship, and then I drop into the tank. And
Yes. Yeah, you're back in the experience again. Absolutely.
Yeah, I loved filming that. That was really fun. I got to go get like scuba diving lessons.
Yeah, you went for a swim.
And I think it's a really cool sequence. So I remember seeing that and being like, whoa, I felt so cool, like having done something like that.
Absolutely.
And then Cloverdale was really, really great. Oh gosh, there's a lot. Even like the finale of the first season, like has a special place in my heart. Like Eli carrying me around and I'm wounded. Like that scene between he and I where
I felt so bad for him.
I
It's
know.
like, buddy, you are being placed squarely in the friend zone.
Yeah, you got friends in so hard.
And
I felt like their friendship was really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
Really
absolutely it was. And he found, like, season 2, you could really see he found his place. He settled in. Because Matt was his friend, too, and he wasn't going to hurt him.
Yeah.
You know? Going under that makeup for Epilogue, was that an experience?
That wasn't too bad, you know.
Yeah.
That was not. I think it looks worse than it was because like a lot of that was stuff they just put on top of our skin and then they'd kind of like smush your skin so that it would hold the wrinkles. So I think we just had like a couple little prosthetics. It was for me.
Wow.
Anyway. It wasn't too bad. And that was cool. That's one thing that I loved about this show was like it let us do so many things. It let us take our characters into territory that you would never get on something that wasn't sci-fi. You know, it's like on an episode of Friends, it's just the kind of same thing every week after week after week. Whereas like with Stargate, it was like every episode was
It's a movie.
Every episode, and it's its own little like feature film. But just we got to take these characters and put them in situations that were so counterintuitive to like what you would come to expect.
It's okay. No, you're fine.
You can come in. I'm just on an interview. That's okay.
That's okay.
I'm almost done. Yeah. Here, I'll just turn this way so you don't have to be on camera. Yeah. Anyway, that's just I think one of the things that's really cool about being a part of a show like that.
I have fan questions for you before we let you go.
Of course.
Scotty0709. The music videos by Couple of Hot Chicks, maybe 3, were hilarious. Is there ever going to be a new one?
No, I think the band is retired. Mostly because we're all living in different places. Everyone. I'm in LA. One of the gals is in Vancouver. I think one's in Calgary. We're all spread all over the place. So I think it was a moment in time.
There you go. Yeah. May it exist like that.
Exactly.
Elizabeth Lee, how intense was doing the submersion and the water scenes? It looks so well done. I had this pending since I saw those scenes. So she was really impressed with the sequence as much as we were.
It looks scarier than it was. Because I think actually if I went down and I pushed up, I would be outside of the
Oh, okay.
So it looks scarier than it actually was. And I think when I had the whole mouthpiece on, there was a breathing apparatus.
Okay, so you were good in there.
I was fine in that. Yeah, so I wasn't like closed in and it wasn't super deep. So I felt so safe. There was like much more basic stunts that I injured myself doing, like crawling over like a gravel like hill. I got this like horrible kind of road rash sort of thing that turned into like a really bad infection.
Gosh,
but
wow.
It wasn't a stunt. It was just like climbing over a hill. Like I hurt myself doing the dance.
It's the normal stuff that gets you, you know? Yeah. Jeez. Eva Lipinska, what was it like to work with Teryl Rothery on Cedar Cove?
Oh, she's the best.
She is.
Oh, so She's the best. We had so much fun. We would just make each other laugh the whole time. I adored her. Yeah, I never met her in the Stargate world, but it was pretty cool to get to work together on that.
Teresa MC, if you had your choice of a role for the new SG series, what would it be? What would you like to do next?
I would still love I would love to see all of these characters come back in some capacity. Like, it just feels so unresolved, that I would love to see where they go. And obviously I have such an attachment to Chloe. I'd be down for her to be full-blown alien. That'd be cool.
I wouldn't, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't count SGU. I wouldn't count those characters out just yet.
Yeah.
If we can get this thing off the ground, with this new project, it's certainly going to be its own thing. That's been stated pretty clearly, but that doesn't mean that there isn't room to explore some pieces of the past.
Right. Well, and it's very very much tradition, and for Brad and Robert to bring people from the other
Correct
moments into the current one. So
absolutely. And I'm always hopeful that we'll at the very least, get some kind of digital animated season 3 or something like that. I still think that story can be properly told. So
I hear you. I agree.
Elyse, I know you got to go. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Of
It was
course.
wonderful to have. I'd love to have you back in the future. I have more questions, but this was
Of
such a
course.
pleasure.
Well, we can find some time. No worries.
Absolutely. Well, you be safe and take care of yourself, and you have a good dinner.
Awesome. You too. Have a
Thank
good
you,
one.
Elyse. Bye-bye. Elyse Levesque from Stargate Universe. Big thanks to her for joining us, and big thanks to you for tuning in this episode. I have some questions that were left to me, but let me get to those in just a moment here. I wanted to let you all know about our giveaway for the month of April. Dial the Gate has partnered with Big J Customs for the month of April to give you a chance to get your very own custom pop figure. To enter to win one of these items, you need to use a desktop or laptop computer and visit dialthegate.com. Scroll down to submit trivia questions. Your trivia may be used in a future episode of Dial the Gate, either for our monthly trivia night or for a special guest to ask me in a round of trivia. There's 3 slots for trivia, 1 easy, 1 medium, and 1 hard. Only 1 needs to be filled in, but you're more than welcome to submit up to 3. And please note the submission form does not currently work for mobile devices. Trivia needs to be in before May the 1st, and if you're the lucky winner, I'll be notifying you via your email to get your address. And be sure to check out our partner's website for more Stargate-related merchandise at bigjcustomsart.com. And Dial the Gate is brought to you every week for free, and we do appreciate you watching. But if you want to support the show further, buy yourself some of our themed swag. We're now offering t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, and hoodies for all ages in a variety of sizes and colors at Redbubble. And we currently offer 4 themed designs and hope to add more in the future. The word cloud designs have both a solid background or transparent background option, so you can have some flexibility between choosing a light or dark color, and do keep that in mind when you're making your selection. Checkout is fast and easy, and you can even use your Amazon or PayPal account. Just visit dialthegate.redbubble.com, and thank you so much for your support. Akos Thomas Navaki, any chance all 3 DeLuise brothers could be on the show at once? At some point, that is my hope, for sure. And do you know why Jonathan Glassner left the franchise after season 3? My understanding, and I could be wrong, is creative differences. Jonathan did have a lot on his plate at the time, so it could have been, just had to go with what he could at that point, and he thought that 3 seasons was good enough for him. I'd love to have him on the show. I've been trying to reach out to him without a great deal of success at this stage, but we'll see what we can do. Another number of requests for specific actors to come on, and doing what we can. I'll do what I can for these listed here. I don't necessarily want to name all the people that I'm getting requests for, but yes, we can certainly do what we can to make those happen. I appreciate you tuning in It means a lot to have you week after week. And to those of you who are joining me live, there's a number of you, so thank you for that. Thanks also to Tracy, Keith, Jeremy, Reese, Anthony, and Summer, my moderators, for making the show possible. To Linda, Gate Gabber Fury, and to Jennifer Kirby, you guys are, as always, fantastic. Next week, we have... Who do we have? Let me have a look here. You think I should know off the top of my head. Jay Brizeau will be joining us at 12 p.m. Pacific time on April the 11th. He played Harlan in SG-1 and the Lord Protector in Stargate Atlantis. At 2 p.m., we will have David Hewlett joining us for part 2 of our ongoing interviews on 2 p.m. on April the 11th. And at 4 p.m. Pacific time on April the 11th, Colonel Chekhov, Gary Chalk from Stargate SG-1. That's what we've got so far. I've got the guest lineup finalized for the month of April. I can announce that Robert Cooper is coming back for, I think, is it part 4 at this point? We're going to talk mostly about Atlantis in that episode, Rising in particular, and creating the Wraith. Joseph Malazzi will be joining us near the end of the month to discuss Season 9 of Stargate SG-1. And I am privileged to announce Carl Binder, writer and executive producer, is going to be joining us for a pre-recorded interview later this month. So I'll be giving everyone an opportunity to submit questions to him that I can ask him during the pre-recorded show. So be on the lookout for that announcement video where you can put questions in the comments. I think that's everything that I have here. I always feel like I'm missing something, but I think that's pretty much it. Thank you again for joining us. My name is David Reed for Dial the Gate. We'll see you on the other side.